everything begins with a good story. And when you have that, then the wonderment begins of like, how are we gonna do it? But it always puts me at ease when some of these questions aren't answered yet about how we're gonna do it. When you have this really great, passionate story, I think for us on this film, it was just so thrilling to sort of kind of be a part of that. Okay, well, let's answer what's next and figure out how to do it. When we have certain challenges like the tram and having a 2D character hanging off a 3D tram, and or a 2D character riding a 3D bike, and how having that look seamless.
So one of the things that I found very valuable during this process was you and I partnered very closely from the get-go to get into the 3D world and set up the camera in such a way that it matched the storyboards. It also was easy for you to take into the compositing end of things where you're merging multiple layers of images together. And it's important to have a cohesive camera through that whole process. And so you and I would meet virtually on Zoom. We'd get in the scene, we'd have the camera, we'd play around with different lenses and different framing and things like that. We have a 2D character that's hand-drawn, and then we have, let's take the tram shot for example. We have kind of the tram in the background, we have the windows that have a different treatment so they're reflective, and then we have the pole that Starling's holding onto, and then we have any foreground elements in front of that. And so I would break the export out of the kind of the 3D world into those layers and then hand that to you. You would separately get the 2D animation from the animator and then be able to kind of reassemble those layers in After Effects during the compositing process.
And it really was kind of a partnership and a teaming up on that, because I remember on the tram, sometimes it would be a little later and I would come knocking, Chris, can I get the windows? Or I remember the pole that Starling is hanging on, later having to ask like, oh, can we get the pole separate so I can do lighting and rim lights around the pole?
Right.
I remember the headlights on the tram. I had this grand plan of the headlights illuminating the people and the raindrops and all that stuff. And then we turned the headlights off.
Right.
For the right reason, for a story reason, because the head, as amazing as I'd like to think the headlights looked and the rim lights on the characters, it was taking away from Starling. Yeah. Because we had to notice the little ball of light on top of the train. And I remember working, kind of getting a little carried away, thinking, ooh, those rim lights on the rain and the people, ooh, that's looking pretty slick. Oh my God, I'm looking at the rim lights in the rain and all that, and not at Starling. And that's what I love about all the stuff we do, whether we're getting in the weeds technically or artistically. We always, when you have a strong story, and Mitra was always so great about articulating to us what the focus of each shot or story point was. The tram is not about all this crazy action sequence, even though it is sort of an action set piece. It's about window here, Starling here, train makes a right turn, and Mitra was always great about articulating that's what this scene is, nothing else.